Hello, everybody. Once again, welcome to the Get Hired LinkedIn Live. It is Friday. It is a sunny day, and you can see we're in a slightly different spot today. We're not in the Get Hired studio. We've come out of that for a little bit of a change, but mainly because this one today, we're going to be doing a big Q&A session. This is very much over to everybody here. Questions that you've got, all regards job related, and you can use other questions if you really like. It would make it quite interesting if you did, but it's going to be super different today, and it's going to be really interesting to understand where that is. And of course, this is because my glamorous assistant James is sunning himself in Cyprus. Technically, he says he's on a running camp, but maybe he might be something else. But you know, who knows? Let's see how it is. But look, really good to see everybody as well. Let's see, David, great to see you. It's always good. Make sure you introduce yourselves, everybody, especially if you're new onto this. Introduce yourselves, let you know where you're from, where else in the world that you come from as well. Nena, yes, I know, a different view. I thought I'd mix it up a little bit today. I think that would be super useful as well. Mandy, great to see you. Good morning. I hope you're well. Foxy, as ever, first one in today. Amazing achievement. Foxy's Labs reached 100,000 total views this week. Super proud of yourself. You should be super proud of yourself. An amazing achievement for yourself. Anybody who's come on to the Get Hired LinkedIn Live here, if you're not familiar with Foxy's Lab, then get it. Foxy, make sure that you share a link to your YouTube channel. It is super interesting. Do a little bit of free publicity for yourself. And amazing, I think, for the journey that Foxy's been on in going straight the way through from someone who I know who has always been super nervous about getting out there, to put yourself out there, to create content. And you really leapt into the deep end and has created an amazing channel as well. So look, really congratulations for that. Fergal, great to see you. Good morning as well. Mandy, you're living in Surrey. Great. I hope it's nice and sunny. It is up here in the Yorkshire Dales. It is a beautiful clear blue sky. It is actually feeling warm. It's meant to be super hot over the weekend as well. Those days don't happen very often up here, so I'm going to make the most of it. Absolutely. As well. Jenny, also from sunny Surrey. Great. Good to see there as well. David, fantastic. I hope Derby is keeping you well also. There is the YouTube channel for Foxy. Make sure that you do that as well. Absolutely. He's put in here, next goal, 100,000 views per video. That would be amazing. And to be honest with you, the way that you're continuing in terms of your reach and what you're doing, really super good to do. And what that proves, though, is what we talk about so much, is that consistency, putting yourself out there and not worrying about what people might think, what's going to be happening, putting yourself out there and getting out there and making sure that you are consistent with your approach and really enjoying it. If you watch Foxy's videos, you can see he super enjoys it. You know, the passion and interest that he has for all the different subjects there are great. So look, absolutely, I think that's a great thing to do. And exactly, Nena, there he is with the plug. He's got to get it out there as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Alistair, great to see you logging in from Leeds. Yeah, so yeah, not too far away from me. Absolutely. So it should be beautiful there as well. Muriel, great to see you. As a French out, you're enjoying some of my posters. I hope so too. It's a homage, I think, a little bit to I'm sort of a great admirer of France. I should be. My dad was a dual national and grew up in the south of France. He was born just outside of Monaco, and they grew up in Monaco. I hasten to add, this was before Monaco was particularly as wealthy as it is now. So unfortunately, I'm afraid we never had that kind of money. That's probably why he left. But I've always loved France. We've skied there and go holidaying there a lot. So it's always one. I think it's quite good to have that passion as well. Look, so today is going to be a different day for everybody. It is 100%. It's over to you and over to everybody here to try and ask your questions. So What I want to find out today, and it doesn't matter, it can be any subject whatsoever. It doesn't have to be just LinkedIn or content creation. It can be about interviews. It can be about negotiation. It can be even about CVs as well. It can be anything at all, right from the get-go from it. It can be the fear factor of creating content, where you can get content from. This is your opportunity to ask anything you like so that we can go through that. I've had quite a number of questions. In fact, since we've been promoting this session, a lot of people have been coming forward to me privately with some questions. I know it can feel very daunting to put yourself out there and ask questions here in the session as well. So, please do come forward with any questions that you've got. I will add some more as well as we go through with that. Foxy, yeah, 100% agree. I post weekly no matter what. The weeks I don't have time, I just choose an easier video for my content plan. Oddly, the easier videos often perform the best. And, that's a great point. And what I found as well, the same thing, is that content as a whole the greatest point here for everybody here is when you're creating content and doing what you need to do on that, don't overthink it. Don't try and seek perfection. Seeking perfection, essentially all that leads to is just procrastination. You end up not doing anything. I have to say, in my journey in doing that, right from the get-go, I started off exactly that way. I was trying to seek perfection. And every time I saw a text post that I was creating, I would reread it, worry about what people might think, what's happening out there. Or, oh my goodness, who am I to say this? The imposter syndrome came in massively. And what I then realized very quickly was that it doesn't matter. Do what you think is that get your message across, create it the way you want to do it. It doesn't need to be perfect. Press the post button, move on, and don't worry about it. So post and just forget, it's done. And then you can do the follow-ups and everything else. I can tell you in the first 2 weeks, it's painful to do, but after a 2-week period, you will find easy. You just suddenly get it. It clicks. That being said, when you've overcome that on text, you then have the issue of then creating video. And it's the same cycle over again. And when I started creating video as well, I had exactly the same process again, where I was doing the video, retaking it. I was writing it out, trying to read it out. I was worrying about what to say because I was worried about the ums and the ahs and, oh, I've done something slightly wrong. It doesn't matter. It makes it more authentic. It makes it more you. And that's what I think is so important for you to do, is to make sure that you get yourself out there and just go and do that. David, you've got a question here. So I'm an IT contractor for my own limited company. Should I post on LinkedIn as my company or as myself? Which would be more credible? 100% you. You are the brand of it. And there is so much evidence with this. And I know that we all have the same bit because we see lots of big brands like Apple and Amazon and everything else. And they're, we see the advertising on TV, which is about the companies and that kind of brand. Don't worry about going into that. This whole process and what it's all about is about you and your expertise. If you're looking to get more business, especially if you're an IT contractor and you're looking to try and get more business through your own limited company, it is you that is the value. And that's why you should be absolutely creating that value brand for yourself, David. And I'm sure you've got so many things that you can talk about, so many personal issues that you have. There is a real temptation to want to go down that route of company branding. But the evidence is very clear. And especially now with the way that social media is, it's about personal stories. It's about authenticity. It's about you 100%. You are the brand that you need to promote. So absolutely for yourself there, I would absolutely do that for it as well. You've got a lot more coming through here. And also, Nennet, you say a really, really good point here in terms of that your perfection is your downfall. And then I procrastinate and content doesn't get posted. That's coming from somebody who's just done 100 days in a row of posting every single day. So you can, doesn't matter how much experience you have and how much you've been doing it, you will still have those feelings. And the search for perfection absolutely is going to really make you struggle with getting out there and posting for yourself. It's one thing that I think that that really stops and prevents people from doing it. I'm going to also put on a couple of questions that I've got that have come through from myself as well. So one of them here that we've got was, what is the biggest mistake you see people making on LinkedIn right now? I'm sorry, I'm just cutting and pasting, putting them up for you because I think that would be a little bit easier to do that way. So look, the biggest mistake that I think people are doing on LinkedIn right now is sort of there's a couple of things that they do. First and foremost is that worry factor, is worrying about what to say, when to say it, whether it's right to do. So it's just that stopping yourself from doing it. And we've talked about that. So it's really important to get that out there. The number two is consistency, is the volume of how often you post, how often you engage. And I know that can be really stressful for a lot of people, and really difficult for people to really cope with and what to do. So a really good way around that is just making sure you go through a process of planning out your content, understanding what it is you want to do. AI is great at helping you create those kind of plans. Go into ChatGPT or Claude or whichever one is your preferred AI, and go to them and then ask the question. This is who I am. There is my profile. Create a content plan for me to be posting each day and create the subjects. And that then helps you. The other thing that's really good on LinkedIn is that you can schedule your posts as well. So it doesn't mean that you're having to sit there every single day and think, how do I write this? You can schedule, and you work out your pace on when you want to schedule and how much you want to do from that side of things. But look, schedule as far in advance as possible so that it's done. And all you can then do is concentrate on doing the follow-ups. And the follow-ups are really important on LinkedIn. It isn't a magic tool where you just put a piece of content out there and hope something happens. You've got to engage with it as well. So the people who are commenting on it, make sure you engage. Make sure you engage and comment every single day in volume with your target audience's posts as well, because that's how you're going to start driving more traffic to your profile and indeed to your posts as well. So absolutely, I think those are the two sort of biggest mistakes that I think that most people are really struggling with out there. So from a point of view where I think that should happen, I think certainly that's where I would make a difference. Nena, your content problem is, I don't want to talk about finance. My passion is music, so my struggle is incorporating the two without getting me head. I'm not sure what that means, but I know what you're after. And look, there is no problem with talking about both. I particularly liked an example that you did. I think you posted it last weekend, it might have been, and you very bravely sang along to a song that you had about money. You'll have to remind me which one it was, but anyway, so you did that, which really was a great hook, I felt, was to try and get you in because it was super personal to you. It was running that, and then you started talking about finance. And so you linked it really nicely. It was a really good segue into that. I really enjoyed that. I wouldn't ordinarily always suggest that you sort of do that sort of link. It's quite a tired old social media trait that people do, where they go on a hike, or they kick the door and say the lessons I've learned from being smacking my head into the door. But you did it really well, and I really like that. But there's nothing wrong with you talking about things that are deeply personal to you. Your music is deeply personal. It's more about you, and people will buy from people. It's a very old phrase, but it's absolutely true, and that's what's going to make a difference for you. Now, if all you were doing was just posting about music for all the time, clearly that's probably not going to hit the market that you really want to do. But there's nothing wrong with adding that in. So you need to put that in different phases for it. Super personal stories can account for a good 20-30% of the posts that you're going to be putting out there. It doesn't have to have anything to do with finance, anything to do with business. It's just about you. And then what you should be looking at for the other sort of 60-70% is what you're going to be looking at is finance related, value add, lessons you've learned, and you can still link the two together. But that's sort of the differences that I would add into that as well. So I hope that sort of helps in terms of where you're going to be going on that side as well. That's right. You're absolutely right. Dirty Cash, it is Stevie V. That's the one it was as well. Jana, hi, hope you're well. On follow-ups specifically, I document what happens when candidates follow up after a final round silence. From the other side, the hiring manager and recruiter side, how important is it that content creators follow up with their audience after a post lands? Is it the same psychology? Well, look, I'm in the same vein. I think it's really important that you create that conversation. The way that, one, I think it's just polite anyway. People put comments on your posts. You want to go back and you want to interact with them and create a conversation. If somebody's saying something to you about it, absolutely respond to it. So there's a couple of things that I would do here. On your own posts, when you have a comment on there, absolutely go through, table some time into your calendar. And what I tend to do is I'll time permitting throughout my day, work permitting and otherwise, is that I will put in half an hour to say comment responses, and I'll just go in and start commenting. Foxy's always laughed at me because he'll know when I'm doing it, because I answer several comments at the same time when I'm doing blocks of commenting. But I think it's really important to do. So when you have those comments coming through, absolutely respond to them. And look, there's nothing wrong with you then seeing if you've got somebody who you're not following, who's not following you, and they've commented on your particular post. Go onto their profile, have a look at them. Are they part of your target audience? Have they got content that you've got? Go and have a look at some of their posts. Go and see whether you can add some value on that. Reciprocate. So give some follow-ups there as well. That's the nature. That's the social side of social media. LinkedIn loves it. What they want is they want more and more engagement on their platform. They want more conversations taking place. The more conversations that happen, the more likely they are to continue to push your post. They're more likely to give it a bigger spread because they will pick it up and think, clearly, this is interesting. People are leaving comments. They will also judge it based on the length of that comment as well. So they will judge by keywords within it and how that length of it as well. If you're just putting great, fantastic, thank you, congratulations, they're not going to really pick that up as it's an interesting conversation that's taking place. But if you leave a longer comment, which is adding value, that is using the the keywords that are based in that particular post, absolutely they will do. They will absolutely pick that up. So I think that's really important to do that. So 100%, I think that doing follow-ups on LinkedIn is probably the number one thing in terms of making sure that your content lands, and also whether or not you will actually get more scope and more reach out there. So I hope that works for you as well, Jana. Mandy, hi. Okay, how often should I be updating my profile with regards being open for work? Great question. If you haven't all done it, first and foremost, 100% audit your profile. Make sure you're fully optimizing it. Make sure that you're showing value. You've got a great about you section. Make sure that you've got an updated profile picture as well, that it reflects who you are and who you are now as well. Make sure that it's not something, because we're all tempted to do it, where you've cut away because you attended a wedding and you quite liked the picture and it looked quite good a few years ago. No, just take time. Look, we've all got great mobile phones. We've all got some friends and family who are more than happy to take a picture of you doing that. Get a picture done. Just take a whole series of them. Pick the right one. There's plenty of tools out there that you can do to edit it, to make sure it looks a little bit nicer for you, and soften it. Get rid of some of the wrinkles. I can't do anything about my hair, I'm afraid, but I'm not going to stick something on my editing tool. So it is what it is, but absolutely update all of that. And then go through your whole LinkedIn profile, making sure that you're showing value, showing results, what your skills are, what you can add to a future employer. That's what's really important. It's always tempting when we're starting to do our LinkedIn profile that we just mirror our CV, that we think that that's what it should be. And then often what we do is just starting to say the things that we've done in almost, like, I was the sales director. I ran several people in my team. It was just like bland statements that everybody can easily put in there. What makes a difference is showing the things that you've achieved, the differences you've made, the things you've changed, the value you've added, and working out for your target company what value you're going to add there as well. So adding that in as well. I would regularly do that. I would regularly check your profile, just audit it. And if you really want to get some helpful tips, you know what I'm going to say. Use Claude, use ChatGPT, get them to analyze sections of your LinkedIn profile. You can, if you want to, just put your whole profile URL into it and say, analyze this and optimize it. Give me suggestions of what you think I should be doing, but explain what it is. I want to add value. I want to make sure that, and for my target kind of role. So explain the role that you're looking for, explain the type of skill sets that you're going to need, the kind of problems you're going to need to solve, and it'll prompt it for you. So it'll help you. Obviously, don't just cut and paste it and put it in there. Use it as an aid to really help you out from that side. So look, absolutely from that. I would also add, because I think it's really important, because you've mentioned about the open to work, there's always questions about whether or not to use the open to work banner. Remember, if you haven't seen here before, there are two types of open to work on LinkedIn. The one that I call the secret one, which is the one that works behind the scenes that recruiters can see whether you're open to work. That is absolutely vital. 100%. If you are looking for a job, make sure you've clicked that one on so that recruiters can see. And the reason why that's so important is that invariably all the recruiters, what they will do, and a lot of them will do this when they're not posting the job, they're actually confidentially looking for a role, they're proactively headhunting, they will use LinkedIn Recruiter, and quite often they will filter their searches based on open to work. So the ones who have clicked that, and they will see that. So 100% do that. If you want to use the banner, completely up to you. And I would say it's useful on two things. So if you've fully optimized your profile and you are creating content and you are commenting and you're engaging and you're driving traffic to your profile, I would absolutely put it on. You don't need to put it anywhere else. You don't need to create content saying I'm looking for a job or anything else. It's there. It's in the background. You can see that, and it will surreptitiously, what it will do for everybody is they will think, oh, that's really interesting that they're open for work. They're looking for work now. They'll look through your profile in a better way. And that's where it's so vital to make sure that you've got all that value in your profile so that you can see very quickly what the problems are in terms that you can solve. Okay, let's have a look through. We've got a few more through there. And thanks, Mandy, for the question here. Let's have a look. I'm just randomly, I'm not actually reading them, so let's just do it live. I am in touch with a US recruiter for a job in Leicestershire. That happens. You know, the world is a small place. Do they use AI differently over there? If you use English and not US English, for example, will the algorithm punish my CV, or should I say resume? That is a great question. That is a really good question. First of all, in terms of AI, yeah, there are differences. So over here, we have the EU AI Act that is coming into play for most of Europe. The UK is adopting similar regulations as well. So it's going to be really important as to where that is. The main regulation is that across the EU, it's not going to be a human that is going to be rejecting your not going to be AI that is going to be rejecting your CV. It has to be a human. Over in the US, they don't quite have those regulations in place yet. They are having some, and some states have more than others. So it will depend what that is. In terms of whether it's US English or English. If you're applying for a role in Leicestershire, they're going to be expecting English. I've worked for a number of very large global technology companies, and absolutely it wouldn't matter. So if I'm looking to fulfill roles in the US from the UK, I'm not going to be penalizing people based on the fact that they're not using UK English. I understand the differences, so that won't happen. It shouldn't do if they're using AI to screen. Not all companies are. Usually they will tell you. So if they are using AI in any of their screening or any of their processes, they will give you a disclaimer right at the front, right from the get-go. So I would be extraordinary if they're not, because there has been some legal cases over in the US regarding discrimination, and that has been used as a consequence of AI. So it'll be really important for them to do that. So you should know upfront if they're doing it. If they've done that and you've seen that, you'll know they're going to be using it from that side. But yeah, look, they will look at it slightly different, maybe because of the different cultures they have there. But look, absolutely give that a go. So best of luck. I hope that works well for you. Let's have a look here. We've got a long one here from Philip. Philip, hi, hope you're well. Regarding posting, when I was doing this late last year, the intent was the following: demonstrate what I could do, what I wanted to do, and things that interest me, mix it up with posts or longer form essays. Thoughtful commenting every day. It's never for the numbers or the engagement. The focus always needed to be landing a job and not becoming a slave to the LinkedIn algorithm. They're saying that clickbait posts work. Anyone remember Spangles? So look, there's some really good points here, Philip. I think that's really important. First and foremost, do not keep worrying over whether or not the algorithm is working in your favor. So I think that's a really good point that you raised there. It is irrelevant. Don't worry about the algorithm. Worry about whether your content is strong, whether it is something that's interesting, whether it's going to be interesting to your target audience. And that's what's really important, because if it is, then yes, it's going to start resonating and you will get that feedback immediately. If not many people are viewing it and it's a little bit lower than it, well, clearly they're just not interested in it. Don't take it personally. It's not the algorithm. It's just the fact that no one's interested in that post. That's great feedback. You know not to do it that way. It might also be that, yeah, absolutely, you've probably not created a great hook. It might not be something that is quote unquote clickbaity. And it's important to remember, look, we're in interest media. It is absolutely based on whether somebody is interested in the subject you're talking about. And the way that the algorithms work now is that if you're talking about, for this, let's use Nena's example. If you're talking about music, it's going to be pushing it to people that have been engaging with music and talk about music, and they like, so that's going to be the audience it'll push it to, because the likelihood is that they will like it. Similarly, if you're talking about finance, it's probably going to be pushing it to people who like finance, who want to see that. So that's more and more where it is. It is the For You section that you see in X, the For You section that you see on TikTok. LinkedIn is very much moving in that same way. It's the TikTokification of all social media. It is the way that they work. So yeah, absolutely important to do it from there. So let's have a look and see. We've got a few more questions here. I've got another one here I wanted to raise that came through from myself earlier. Is applying to jobs still worth it in 2026, or is networking now the main game? Look, you're still going to have to apply for a job, but there's lots of difficulties here in the application only strategy. First and foremost, as we know, instead of 10, 15, 20 years ago, when you applied for a job and then there might be 20 other people in there and the odds were pretty much in your favor of getting an interview. It was you probably had a 1 in 4 chance of getting an interview. Those odds have dramatically lengthened. So now, instead of it being a 1 in 4 chance of getting an interview, it's a 90 I gotta get this right, 98% chance that you won't even get a communication back. You got a 2% chance if you actually get some kind of communication back. That's how much the market has changed. The whole thing's changed on its head. So if you're going for just an application only strategy, it's going to be a long time for you to do it. And on top of that, as I posted this week, the amount of percentage of jobs that are never posted, that never see the light of day, absolutely is going to work against you. So networking, and I would say creating content, branding yourself, getting visibility is super important in 2026. You are still going to have to strategically apply. That absolutely, you're going to have to do that, but it's really important. So I don't think it's an either or, but it's absolutely important to make sure that going all in LinkedIn, and that's what I suggest this to every single job seeker, 100%. If I lost my job tomorrow, I wouldn't be applying for any job. I would be just all in on LinkedIn. No matter what kind of volume I'm doing now, I would 10x it. I would make sure that every single person in my target market knew of my name, knew what I could add. I would want them to see that. And I want to try and proactively, first of all, get people to come and speak to me as much as I can do, but also go and do some direct outreach. I'd be engaging constantly with their different posts and content that is out there as well. So look, it's a sort of a two-stage there as well. Mandy, I've applied for over 100 and only had 5 interviews. That's actually not a bad return in 2026. I think that actually is not bad, but it tells you everything that you need to know about this market. It is super tough out there at the moment. So 100%, that is what I think is going to make the difference as well. Jana, Nigel, thank you. A lot of what you've covered today, we've already started implementing, and the impressions are showing it. 144,000 in 28 days. Great performance. Really, really good. Consistency and engagement strategy is really working. Really valuable session. Thank you very much. I much appreciate that. And yeah, look, absolutely. You know, if you're hitting the right mark and you're talking about the things that people want to listen to and they want to engage with and they want to consume, you're going to do well with it. You are going to start getting seen. And that's the real key to make sure that you become successful in your job search. 100%, you're going to have to get out there. And LinkedIn is a fabulous tool to do that. By the way, I say all of this, LinkedIn don't pay me any money for it at all. I should really get sponsorship from them, but I don't get anything from them at all. But I absolutely believe in their tool. It is a fabulous tool. It also works in your favor because it's essentially a monopoly. There really aren't any other tools like it out there. That's the reason why they have 1.2 billion people on their platform. You know, basically all the people who you would want to try and engage with, 99.9% of them are going to be on LinkedIn. And the overwhelming majority of them, probably 98% of that, don't post. They are just consumers of content. They want to see it. And sometimes they will post certain little bits. Now and again, they'll comment on different areas there. That's where you've got to make sure that you're clicking in to see them. You've got to make sure that you're raising your profile. But if you're talking about the areas that they're interested in their market, they will engage with you. They will see you. And it's not just recruiters. And this is the thing that you've really got to bear in mind. If you're job searching, don't just say that my target audience are just recruiters. No, it is the hiring managers. It's the founders of companies, the CEOs, the chief marketing officers, the sales directors, the finance directors, whatever part of the business it is that you work for, those are the people, those people who work in the business. You want to get them to be looking at it. And they're the ones that will, if they suddenly see you, they may well go to the recruiter that they have working for the company and go straight to them and say, I wish to go and speak to Nigel. Go and I've seen this person. I really need to, can you go and engage with them directly? So 100%, it's really, really important to make sure that you're getting seen in 2026. That's going to be the real difference between whether or not you do well in a job search or not, and that will change all of those different stats that you have in terms of getting seen as well. I've got one other coming through here. I'm sorry it comes under my name, but it's just the way that YouTube's working. Are we seeing the death of the cover letter? That's a great one. I get asked this a lot about that. Cover letters is a real contentious subject because some people absolutely love them, especially the careerist recruiters who've been at a long, long time, the ones who like to do CV writing and cover letter writing services. They probably do want to promote that. But in my experience, 98% of cover letters don't get read. They never get downloaded. They never see the light of day. It is an additional tool. Now, there is a challenge because there's an awful lot of processes where they will ask for a cover letter and you can't submit your application unless you submit a cover letter. The reality is LinkedIn does all of that for you. LinkedIn is your branding document far more than a cover letter ever do. And this goes back to the challenge with an application only strategy, because what you're doing is, in the old world, what it was that you're trying to get visibility with the recruiter who's making a decision whether or not to see you. The problem with that is that system's broken so badly. You're lucky if you get 6 seconds of your CV read. 6 seconds, if you're lucky. And cover letters is going to be far less than that. What most recruiters will do is, if they are going through each of your application, they'll quickly flick on the CV. Is it something that's worth doing it? If it is, they'll go and check your LinkedIn profile. That's the modern world. You know, your cover letter might just talk about a few different bits. Your LinkedIn profile is going to tell 10 times more about you and about what you're about, what kind of value that you can add. And indeed, when we're talking about those personal posts as well, a little bit of authenticity, what it would be like to work with this person. A cover letter is never going to do that for you. So if you don't have to do it with cover letters, don't do it. If you have to do it, then good. You know, then look, you're going to have to do it. Absolutely, Foxy. Cover letters are pointless, in my opinion. And I agree with you. If nobody's reading them, then what's the point? But there's a big question mark, I think, for the recruitment industry as a whole, that absolutely they need to take accountability in terms of, look, what's the point of doing this? Why on earth have we asked for a cover letter if nobody's actually reading this? What's the point of doing that? Foxy, actually, it might have been 800 jobs on LinkedIn. I've blanked that period of my life out. Yeah, a lot. There's a lot. The application strategy, it can really take you to areas of stress that you really don't want to go down at all. So 100%. Let's. I hope that it's. That doing the sort of things that create visibility in a different way is going to do that. So we've got a few others here. I think let's find out this one. I think this is a really interesting question here, because this goes down to the engagement type of it, and there's absolutely some question marks, I think, that in terms of how you engage directly with the business. What's the best way to approach a hiring manager directly? This is a really great question. And the reason why that's so valuable is because, I mean, I get it. I can talk about from my personal experience. I receive, on average, from just my work in terms of recruiting, I must get anything between 20 to 100 messages every single day on LinkedIn, at least. I get that many, of which a large proportion of them are just, here's my CV, I'm looking for a job, let's set up a time for me to discuss that. And they attach the CV. It's sort of like, it's the LinkedIn in-mail or email version of cold calling, of the old spam that you might get. It doesn't really add value to you if you're doing that, because these are people I've never met before. I don't know anything about them. They've not introduced themselves. I just don't know. They're just literally begging for a job. And I understand the pressure that, look, they need a job and they're looking for it. And I'm a recruiter and I work for a large organization that's got lots of jobs and stuff like that. I get that. But I have so much volume to do it. I can't physically respond to every single person who does that. But what I do, absolutely, is I see the people who comment on my post, on my content. I see people who are adding value to it. I see the content that comes through because I'm searching for different types of people. I can see that and I think, oh, that's really interesting. I'll click on their profile. I see what they can do and I'll reach out to them directly. That's more valuable. For me as a recruiter, that's the path that I will do, because it'll create more control. If I just purely answer every single unsolicited message, email, in-mail that I get, I would have no time to do anything else at all. It would be impossible. So there is a time for direct approaching, but I would always recommend that direct approaching is part of your follow-up strategy. It isn't the first port of call. So in other words, do a follow-up of, once you've been engaging in your content, that someone's engaged directly. So let's say I've engaged with somebody else's content, you've engaged with my content, then you can do a message to say, really insightful post that you did the other day. I really like this, that, the other. I worked very similarly in this before, and this is what I found, and this is why it resonated with me. Thanks very much. So I wouldn't even be asking for anything. And that's the real key to it. Always give a principle in social media of giving first rather than trying to get something back. So you're not actually asking for things. Take time to be able to do that. That's the way that is going to be much more effective in terms of where we go on there. Okay, let's have a little look through here. As ever, Philip, thank you very much. Great discussion, insight. Have a good week. Hope you'll find a job of your dreams. Thank you very much, Philip, for coming along today, and wishing you well as well. Anna, thanks for doing these sessions. They keep me going. What you said once of winning the lottery when we at least get to a first stage interview is exactly how I feel. I know. Listen, absolutely. We've all been in these places. Life sometimes cannot be overly fair, and I myself have gone through exactly the same principle that everybody else has had. The pressure of I've not got work. I've got to try and find it. How do I get out there? How do I reach the right people? How do I ensure I do that? People have gone through that. I need to apply for a job process. I've been that as well. So I've learned through the hard knocks of how to do it, to how to navigate through. I absolutely know the pressure that you can have with it, which is why I say it is 100%. It is absolutely vital that if you are searching and everything else, don't feel tempted. The fact that I'm just applying, haven't I done well? I've applied for 50 jobs today. I must get there. It's a numbers game. Sooner or later, somebody will come back to me. It is a numbers game, but you've got to play the right one. And if what you're doing here, absolutely, you might as well just be playing the lottery, because that's the kind of odds that you're doing when you're doing an application only strategy. So it's really vital to make sure that you put your effort, put your process into creating content, getting yourself out there, creating your videos, doing newsletters, get yourself out of your comfort zone. First of all, what it will do is it will find an immense amount of your own creativity. It will provide you with a format of feeling far more in control. I think what a lot of job seekers find, especially right now, that you feel that you've got zero control over the process, that you're just firing off your CV into a black hole and getting nothing back. And it feels hopeless because nobody's responding. You can't speak to anyone. You can't ring them up. You can't say, have you got my CV? They're not going to come back to you. But by creating content, engaging with people directly on their posts, by doing follow-ups, by changing your profile, but you're actually starting conversations, it feels far more like you're in control of your own destiny. And that's why it's so important to do it that way as well. So I wish you all very much the best in terms of that way that you need to do. Okay, so look, let's just have a look here and see if we've got any more as we're coming towards the end of this Q&A session. Foxy, you'll do better if they approach you anyway. Making yourself visible on LinkedIn is the best play these days. 100%. 100%. I watched, I don't know whether anyone follows it, Gary Vaynerchuk produces a lot of good content on various different media channels, talks a lot about social media, marketing guru over in the States. I saw a video specifically about him where he was asked the question about finding a job, and his response exactly the same: go all in on LinkedIn. 100% go all in on LinkedIn. That is the way that you get visibility, and visibility will create the opportunities. The opportunities will create the opportunity for you to get offers and get hired. That's the way to really make a difference. Okay, so look, we're coming towards the end. It's been a fascinating session as ever that we have with this. I hope you have enjoyed that. I hope you like the slightly different background that we have here today, and indeed enjoyed the looking at the posters that I've got here as well. If you've got any other questions at all, please just put them in the chat. I will come back to them as well, so I will make sure that I answer all of them for you as well. I'll put my my little spot in the calendar over the weekend so that I actually go through and do the Get Hired Live questions. I will put it as that section there, so you might see that time that I actually start responding to them all. Wishing you all the very, very best. I hope your job searches go well. wishing you the best of success. I hope you get out in this amazing weather as well. It's a real good, especially when you have the stresses and strains. Get out there, get the sun on your face, enjoy that, get the vitamin D. It always makes a big difference. Enjoy the weekend wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for coming along, and I shall see you same time next week. Take care, everybody.